Dear all, thanks for your patience. Our event is starting in a few minutes. The official working language of the... We have our guest here, Her Excellency Miss Anna Claudia Rosbach. You are happy to welcome to your happy this year. Welcome Miss Anna Claudia Rosbach to our event. The event NGO Forum. NGO Forum, which is happening for the first time in the WUF history. Dear all, the working language of this event will be English. We kindly ask that if anybody needs headphones, we can take it from our colleagues. We will be starting in a few minutes.
Colleagues and brothers and sisters representing civil society from every corner of the globe, welcome to Baku. It is my distinct honor. Thank you. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to the first ever WUF NGO Forum, taking place here at the 13th session of the World Urban Forum. Today we are making history. In this room, we have hundreds of non-governmental organizations representing close to 100 countries gathered under one roof. Your presence here today is a powerful testament to the vibrant energy of global civil society and our shared, unyielding determination to be active, equal architects in uniting a broad coalition of more than 1,000 NGOs. The birth of this platform and the election of its leadership mark a monumental milestone in the consolidation of global civil society. I stand here before you deeply humbled and profoundly grateful for the immense trust our members have placed in me by electing me as the Secretary General. This mandate is not just an honor for me personally. It is a profound reflection of the deep trust and confidence that the international community has placed in Azerbaijani leadership to serve as a bridge builder for the Global South. This major gathering demonstrates a powerful, growing willingness among civil society networks to look to Baku as a neutral, collaborative anchor for international solidarity and strategic action. The theme of our forum today is global partnership and decision-making. For too long, civil society has been sidelined in global urban planning. But as we tackle the rapid, complex urbanization challenges of the 21st century, from climate resilience to equitable housing, it is abundantly clear that the sustainable solutions cannot be built for the people without the people. Civil society must have a permanent seat at the decision-making table. Our focus today is to transform that aspiration into concrete global partnerships. We are here to ensure that local, grassroots expertise from the Global South directly shapes global urban policies. To give you a visual sense of the incredible journey that we have shared over the last few crucial days and the profound momentum carrying us into this room today, I invite you all to look at the screens for a short introductory video. I would appreciate your silence and please let's dim the lights.
Every city tells a story. Some tell stories of progress. Others carry the memory of destruction. Across the world, millions still struggle for one of humanity's most basic rights, a dignified place to live. But in some parts of the world, cities were not only damaged, they were erased. For many nations, reconstruction means rebuilding what was lost. Azerbaijan opened a new page in its history. and rethinked the future of urban life itself. Smart cities, green energy, human-centered development. From ruins, a new urban vision began to rise. From silence, new life began to rise, and the world noticed. In 2026, the world comes to Baku. World Urban Forum 13 is held with the highest participation in its history in Baku. Diverse voices, one platform, one shared direction. The Baku standards are emerging. A new model for urban development, a new vision, a new direction, and with it, an Azerbaijan legacy. But the future of cities requires a common discussion with civil society. It must also be shaped by civil society, by communities, and for community. And that is why the Global South NGO platform matters. For the first time, the platform is represented at a United Nations event with its own pavilion. Distances disappear, dialogues appear, new partnerships, new possibilities emerge. Urban development enters the global civil society agenda. The urban development agenda enters a new era during the World Urban Forum held in Baku. And for the first time in World Urban Forum history, an NGO forum stands at the center of the conversation. From silence to resilience, from destruction to reconstruction, from division to unification, from the NGO forum to a new spirit of discussion. These days, the future of urban development is being written here.
Thank you. Now, to formally kick off our opening remarks, it is my absolute privilege to introduce our distinguished guests. To begin, I am deeply honored to invite a leader whose vision guides global urban development and who has been a steadfast champion of inclusive cities. Please welcome the Executive Director of UN Habitat, Ms. Anna Claudia Rosbach.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, Excellencies, friends, I was very pleased when I entered this door, and I couldn't believe this room is so crowded. And I'm very happy because having this room crowded of people coming from so many different places of the world, bringing perspectives, geographies, experiences, capacities, and resources. This is what the World Urban Forum is about. I don't know if you are aware, but the World Urban Forum was created about 20 years ago under a resolution of the General Assembly of the United Nations to be the mechanism for stakeholder engagement at UN Habitat to address the global housing, shelter, urbanization issues. And here we are, 20 years after, 13 editions after its first edition in Nairobi, and having been crossed throughout the world. Today, we meet with clarity and focus, and it's also a very strategic conjunction for UN Habitat. because it is the first year of our new strategic plan for 26-29, a strategic plan that has a very a specific, defined focus on assessing, promoting housing to all, promoting the access to land, promoting the access of basic services, transforming informal settlements, vulnerable territories for all. But today we understand, after 50 years of existence of UN Habitat, since it was conceived in Vancouver, Canada, exactly 50 years ago, and after 10 years of the new urban agenda, after its endorsement in Quito, that we cannot just build homes, that we need to build systems that work. We need to build communities, we need to build cities, we need to build cohesion, we need to build a social contract. And the other thing that we learned in this 50 years is that the task is too massive for one entity alone. So there's no one entity that can A, deliver the whole task, and B, consolidate the. So we learned that we have to work together. We have to work together at the local level, at the city level, make sure that our plans, urban plans, are participatory, that we have a structure, well-established participatory governance schemes at the local level, bring in the different sectors, but we need the local level to work with the national level, and we need to have inputs from the different sectors, from the civil society, from the academia, from the community-based organizations, from the private sectors, in developing housing policies, in developing urban policies, and reinventing territories, as we could see on the video. I was also very pleased when I attended the Azerbaijan National Urban Forum, and I could see how the reconstruction has been actively engaging the communities and the stakeholders. So I understand you represent a coalition of over 300 organizations and NGOs, and all I have to say is that we need you here, we need you in the upcoming World Urban Forum, and we need you as we review what happened with the urban agenda since it was approved in Quito, Ecuador in 2016. And finally, we need you, because without you, we will not be able to overcome the global housing crisis. So thank you very much, and thank you very much, our host country, for organizing this first NGO forum at WUF13. I think it's a historical moment.
Thank you, Mr. Osbar. Next, to share perspectives from our host nation, a country that has shown immense dedication to fostering international dialogue and civil society solidarity. It is my honor to invite the Assistant to the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan and Head of the Department of Foreign Policy Affairs of the Presidential Administration of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Hikmat Hacı.
Happened in 2022 when Dr. Maimouna, as Executive Director, visited Azerbaijan, and since then on, Azerbaijan's new love story with the UN Habitat has started. Thankful that UN Habitat's Executive Director was one of the very first high-level UN officer visited the liberated territories of Azerbaijan and bringing the wisdom and vision of the UN Habitat in post-conflict reconstruction and rebuilding process. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that World Urban Forum would be void and null if we couldn't organize a meeting of the NGO community all around the world. Your vision, your guidance, your contributions are extremely helpful and valuable for us. We are also thankful to Madame Rosbach that she and her entire team supported this endeavor based on the vast experience of the United Nations family on NGO interaction and NGO cooperation. Without that, we couldn't do that. and not only with NGO Forum, and in a broader sense, World Urban Forum in closer partnership and also in closer interaction with our friends from the UN Habitat and led by Madame Rosbach. I think that we are in the process of having a successful World Urban Forum. NGO community and civil society institutions and Azerbaijani government puts an additional emphasis for an interaction, development and capacity building of our NGO community and NGO society, and in broader sense, civil society institutions. For that purpose, state agency for supporting civil society institutions has been established. And Azerbaijani government also provides a grant for their accessibility for funding and also providing different trainings and institutional and capacity building projects. And in civil society institutions in Azerbaijan are also part and parcel of the Azerbaijan's government programs for development. And we are also involving civil society institutions and their knowledge and expertise in implementation of the sustainable development goals of Azerbaijan. In the liberated territories, think locally and think globally, acting locally is one of the mottos of Azerbaijani civil society institutions, and we also as a government supporting international cooperation and collaboration. And in this case, I'm also thankful to the NGO Agency of Azerbaijan, and I wish you personally and entire team for supporting these endeavors. Azerbaijan's civil society institutions are not any longer operating within the borders of Azerbaijan. And the Global South platform, where initiated last year, is becoming yet another success story. And we started this initiative with a COP29. I'm also extremely glad and privileged that I have been provided with a platform to provide an open address last year on behalf of my president, and this year, General Assembly of the Global South NGO Civil Society Institutions platform have been established. And I wish all the best in your endeavors. I'm also sure that your inputs and your contributions to today's deliberations on urban agenda will be taken into consideration for shaping our new agendas and new thinking with regard to the urban agenda that is currently main theme. Ladies and gentlemen, all our lives are related to the cities, and cities continue to grow. And all our challenges are also related to the cities. Overpopulation and speedy urbanization problems, environmental challenges, climate calamities. In Azerbaijan, we are also facing new elements of the climate change. And in the initial days of our World Urban Forum, we have faced such an array that's unpredictable, in a sense unusual for Azerbaijan, but such developments are happening as well. Therefore, cities are in a sense, facing the immediate calamities of the climate change, among other many challenges. For without civil society institutions, without your views and perspectives and providing the views and aspirations of our societies, I think the government institutions cannot fulfill our ambition of providing self-resilient, sustainable, and most importantly, comfortable cities. In the case of Azerbaijan, let me also refer to the vision of my president. And yesterday, President Ilham Aliyev highlighted Azerbaijan's vision. And from that perspective, from his speech, I can say that Azerbaijan is really, indeed, is in a relevant place to have such a discussion. First, Azerbaijan people has an ancient culture of establishing and building the cities. Historical cities of Azerbaijan, Kabala, at the 4th century BC, it was one of the vibrant cities on the ancient Silk Road. Throughout the centuries, throughout the millennia, Azerbaijani people built different cities that was in a centers for the trade, collaboration, education, knowledge, and most importantly, human living. But we're preserving this culture because preserving cultural heritage in the modern cities is yet another challenge. Baku in itself is a clear illustration of that, where we are trying to preserve historical heritage and to combine it with the modern elements of the urbanism. Let alone reconstruction and rebuilding in the liberated territory of Azerbaijan. It's a gigantic mission in front of my government. And it's a 10,000 plus territory that's contaminated within a landmine. And cities have been destroyed, are re-emerging, and new life have been brought to those territories. In history books, we learned in our childhood that cities have been destroyed as a result of the invasions, wars, and conflicts. But unfortunately, in the 21st century, in front of our eyes, in front of the screens, cities are disappearing. Cities are undergoing to the massive destructions. And in Azerbaijan case as well, we lost 9 cities as a result of deliberate destructions, but our cities leveled to the ground zero. And Ahverdoff city, as my president yesterday said, that's called Hiroshima of the Caucasus. It's not because of the nuclear weapons, because of the human actions on the ground. Brick by brick, the city that accommodated 100,000 inhabitants that have been completely destroyed. But I'm glad to say that it's in the past. We are looking in the future with a new ambition and a post-conflict situation, building new cities and new lives for our citizens and our former IDPs who are returning back with dignity and safety back to their homes. From all of these parameters, therefore, Azerbaijan is in a relevant and right place to host both urban forum and to have any discussions. And we are ready to share our experience and in the meantime to learn from our partners and to learn also civil society institutions that are coming from the many different parts of the world. And we are, among many other things, and we are also building the bridge between the civil society institutions in the global south and also between the global south and between the global north as well. As I mentioned in our General Assembly inaugural meeting, world is changing, a new world order is in the process of shaping. And here Global South should make its voice stronger, should make its voice heard at a global stage. And Global South is not seeking confrontation. Global South is seeking cooperation, collaboration, and its voice needs to be heard. And so with this voice to be heard, civil society institutions must be active. Again, I'm very thankful for, and I wish all the success to this endeavor. I'm sure that it will be sustainable, consistent, and Azerbaijan will be more than ready to support this endeavor further. Thank you.
Sustainable organization to the government of Malaysia is Maimuna Mort Sharif.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me begin by thanking the government of Azerbaijan and the organizers for convening this important NGO forum. It is a privilege, actually, to join you today. We are gathered here under the theme that is both timely and very necessary: global partnership and decision making. At its core, this forum brings together civil society voices, grassroots leaders, and global partners to address a shared challenges. How we work together to shape decisions that are more inclusive, more grounded, and more effective. But today, how we partner is increasingly shaping how decisions are made, and ultimately the outcomes we deliver that have the great impact to the livelihood of the people that we serve. In that sense, this is not a slogan. It is a leadership test. Across the world, cities are expanding rapidly, as what the Excellency mentioned just now, yet the gap between policy and reality continues to widen. Housing, inequality, and climate resilience are not abstract issues. They are experienced daily by communities. And this is where the NGOs and civil society organizations matter most, not only as participants in the global forum. You are not just a participant, my dear friend. You are the agent of connection between people, policy, and practice. I remember in one of my sessions back home in Malaysia, and I said, I don't believe in public participation. Oh, you can see my friend from the NGO was calling, how come this mayor don't believe in public participation? I said, I believe in public engagement. When you engage, it's a two-way situation. When you participate, maybe only one way. So we believe in engagement rather than just participation. So not only as a participant in the global forum, but as an agent of connection, as I mentioned earlier, between people, policy and practice. And from my own experience, one lesson is clear: urban transformation is not driven by institution alone. It depends on how effectively we bring together different perspectives, different actors, different level of action. And NGOs bring something essential into this process: proximity, trust, and lived understanding. They give voice to communities. They surface realities that data alone cannot capture. And they help ensure that decisions are not only well designed, but also relevant and implementable. In many ways, civil society is the connective force within global partnership, bringing government, international organizations, the private sector, and the local communities. You remember, I introduced the concept of 4 Ps, public, private, people partnership. Not only 3 Ps, public, private partnership, but I add one more piece, public, private, people partnership, the 4 Ps. And in many ways, civil society is the connective force within global partnership, bringing government, internal organization, and private sector and local communities. And this is especially important in this forum, as such, where experiences are shared across countries, across cities, particularly from global south and global north, and where many of today's urban challenges are most visible and most urgent in the global south. These challenges are not only about dialogue, they are about learning what works, adapting solutions, and strengthening collective action. But today's challenges are inherently shared. No city can address housing alone, no country can be resilient in isolation, and no single institution can deliver sustainable outcome without collaboration. Global partnerships are therefore not an added layer. Sometimes people say, oh, we need to engage the NGOs, that is add another layer of bureaucracy. No, they are the way progress happens. But this partnership to work, for this partnership to work, one element is critical: credibility, accountability, and transparency. Because partnership without trust cannot function. And trust comes from clarity of purpose and how consistently we act on it. But because purpose is not about statement or business positioning, it must be guided by priorities, shape decision, and visible in action. That's why many partnership and decision making go hand in hand. If civil society is to play its full role, it cannot remain at the margin of the engagement. It must be recognized as a partner in shaping decisions themselves. And this means moving beyond consultation, as I said, towards shared responsibility in the outcomes. And it requires platforms like NGO Forum today to continue doing what they are designed to do, bringing diverse voices into conversation, strengthening connection across sector and religion, and also the regions, and translating dialogue into practical action. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward, the question is not whether partnership exists, but whether they are inclusive enough, credible enough, and sustained enough to deliver meaningful change. Because shaping better cities is not only about infrastructure, but it's about people, about dignity, and about opportunity. And this is through strong, inclusive, and purposeful global partnership that we will be able to build cities that not only resilient, but truly equitable and just. And I would like to share with you, think local. Think of what are your cities having the challenges. Act global. come to the Baku for the World Urban Forum. When you go back, apply local. Don't forget to apply. Don't just go back and, oh, I just go back from Baku. Think local, act global, and apply local. And let's look at NGO, non-government organization, as we normally know. Let's turn it non-governance organization. You look at the governance of your city. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Sharif. As we discuss global partnerships, the spirit of South-South cooperation is at the absolute core of our mission today. To share her insights, please welcome the Director of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, Stima Al-Khatib.
Excellencies, distinguished partners, colleagues, and friends, it is a great pleasure for me to join you today at the World Forum 13 for this important NGO forum on global partnerships and decision-making. At the outset, I would like to sincerely thank the Agency on State Support to NGOs of the Republic of Azerbaijan for organizing this timely and important event and for bringing together such a distinguished and diverse group of leaders, practitioners, and civil society representatives from across regions. Let me also commend Azerbaijan's leadership in hosting many global initiatives and networks, as well as in the Global South NGO platform. Today, cities sit at the center of the Global Sustainable Development Agenda. Many of the Sustainable Development Goals will ultimately be won or lost in urban areas. More than half of the world population already lives in cities. By 2050, nearly 70% of humanity is projected to reside in urban areas. Across the Global South, where nearly 90% of future urban growth is expected to occur, cities are facing growing pressures linked to climate change, water insecurity, inequality, migration, housing shortages, and infrastructure gaps. At the same time, cities are also spaces for innovation, resilience, and transformation. As urbanization accelerates, the importance of inclusive urban planning and participatory governance continue to grow. This makes local governance, community participation, and multi-stakeholder partnerships more important than ever. In this context, NGOs and civil society organizations play a critical role in connecting global agendas with local realities, as was just eloquently said by Ms. Maimouna. They help bring communities closer to decision-making processes, amplify underrepresented voices, and translate policy commitments into practical action on the ground. And in most countries of the Global South, NGOs are also innovators, service providers, and trusted partners supporting vulnerable communities and advancing inclusive urban solutions. NGOs operate on the front line of urban transformation, including informal settlements, climate adaptation efforts, disaster preparedness, youth engagement, digital inclusion, and access to basic services. Their proximity to communities allows them to act swiftly, identify emerging needs early, pilot practical solutions, and help governments design more responsive and inclusive urban policies. Inclusive urban planning is not only about infrastructure or city design. It is also about participation, representation, and local ownership. It requires decision-making processes that empower communities to actively shape policies and solutions that affect their daily lives. And in this regard, NGOs are often trusted intermediaries between communities and institutions. They facilitate dialogue, they strengthen trust, They support accountability and help identify practical solutions that may otherwise remain overlooked. At the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, the UNOFSC, we firmly believe that sustainable development solutions are strongest when they are locally owned, demand-driven, and informed by shared experiences. South-South and tribal cooperation provide important frameworks for enabling such collaboration. They create opportunities for countries, cities, institutions, and communities across the Global South to exchange practical knowledge, scalable innovation, and policy solutions based on common development realities. And I think the Global South platform on NGOs will have a fantastic role to play in this regard. Also, across the Global South, cities are already learning from one another on affordable housing, on sustainable transport systems, on waste management, on renewable energy, and the many other priorities that we have just talked about. The urban agenda has been central to our work also at the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. For example, within our collaboration framework with China and through initiatives such as the UNOFSC South-South Cities clusters, local governments, institutions, and experts are engaging city-to-city exchanges to share practical experiences and locally driven solutions in areas including digital innovation, disaster risk reduction, public health, and sustainable development. In collaboration with UNESCO, we have been also working in collaboration with UN Habitat to support South-South exchanges and the sharing of city-level good practices on sustainable tourism, on heritage preservation, on climate action, urban resilience, especially after for the post-COVID recovery. And together with the UNDRR, the Disaster Risk Reduction, PAHO, WHO, and the UN Technology Bank, we have been jointly conducting South-South disaster risk reduction trainings, bringing together local authorities and technical practitioners from more than 1,000 cities across more than 150 countries and territories. Many of these solutions exchanged are cost-effective, scalable, and grounded in realities similar to those faced by other developing countries and municipalities. Our knowledge platform, Galaxy, hosts many of these solutions, among which a big portfolio of more than 1,001 and across all SDGs. So through South-South and tribal cooperation, we can collectively help to accelerate this exchange of practical experience and implementation of the know-how, as well as the role of the NGOs and civil society organizations in development processes and decision-making by creating more inclusive and horizontal partnerships. Looking ahead, we are working on strengthening these partnerships through a new initiative under our strategic framework for the 4 years to come, which are critical years for the accelerations of the SDGs. We are currently establishing a global alliance for South-South and tribal cooperation. It is a multi-stakeholder platform aimed at strengthening partnerships, matchmaking, knowledge exchange, and scaling up development solutions across the Global South and beyond. The alliance is envisioned as an inclusive ecosystem bringing together governments, UN entities, NGOs and civil society organizations, development banks, academia, and private sector, with the objective to connect partners and local solutions with broader knowledge networks, financing opportunities, and cooperation frameworks. We see a strong potential for NGOs and civil society organizations to play an active role within this ecosystem by contributing their local experiences and innovative solutions and facilitating community-level engagement, participating in the knowledge-sharing initiatives. Allow me to conclude with one final reflection. Sustainable cities are not built through infrastructure alone. They are built through inclusion, participation, trust, and local ownership. They are built when communities are empowered, not simply as beneficiaries of development, but as active drivers of change and innovation. And by strengthening inclusive decision-making and multi-stakeholder partnerships, we can help ensure that urban development becomes more equitable, resilient, sustainable, and responsive to the realities and aspirations of people everywhere. We remain committed to working together with all partners in advance of these efforts through South-South and Triangle cooperation. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Al-Khatib. Our next speaker has been instrumental in organizing this very forum and continues to lead vital efforts to empower civil society right here in Azerbaijan. Please welcome member of the WUF13 Organizing Committee and chairperson of the board, the NGO Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ms. Aygün Aliyeva.
Honorable guests, esteemed colleagues, dear friends, it is my great honor to welcome you to Baku as the WUF13 NGO Forum Global Partnership and Decision Making, organized within the framework of the 13th session of the World Urban Forum. Azerbaycan'a hoş geldiniz. Today's gathering carries particular historical significance. For the first time in the history of the World Urban Forum, an NGO forum is being organized as part of the official WUF program. This is not merely a symbolic event. It is the confirmation of an important reality already recognized at the international level. Sustainable urban development and urbanization cannot succeed without the participation and partnership of the civil society. We are proud that this historic first is taking place in Azerbaijan. In recent years, Azerbaijan has become a platform for important international initiatives and solidarity mechanisms in the field of civil society. In 2025, the founding conference of the Global South NGO Platform was held in Baku. In the same year, the NGO platform of the member state of the Organization of Turkic States was established in Nakhchivan. Just a few days ago, the General Assembly of the Global South NGO Platform took place within the framework of Baku Urban Week. All these developments demonstrate that Azerbaijan is not only hosting international events, but is also becoming an important international platform that brings together civil society representatives from different regions for dialogue, cooperation, and solidarity. At the same time, I would like to note that the institution I represent is a member of both COP29 and WUF Organizing Committee. This is clear indication of the support and trust demonstrated towards civil society and non-governmental organizations in my country. Distinguished participants, the central theme of WUF13 houses the world safe and resilient cities for communities. Cities across the world are confronted with climate change, social inequality, migration, and humanitarian crisis. In such a period, the future of cities cannot be built solely on concrete and infrastructure. It must be built on human trust, public participation, and solidarity. Azerbaijan is already implemented this approach in practice. Today, new life is emerging in the liberated territory of Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur. Smart cities and smart village models are being implemented, green energy zones are being established, and human-centered, environmentally sustainable development concepts are being applied. Our country undertook the complex and historic mission, restored destroyed cities, mine contaminated territories, and devastated settlement back to life. Ahverdoff, once referred to as Hiroshima of the Caucasus, is today becoming a symbol of this transformation and determination. A city once completely destroyed is now witnessing the beginning of new life. This reflects the determination of the nation not only to rebuild cities after destruction, but also to restore human hope and confidence in the future. Meanwhile, life is gradually returned to its natural rhythm in Shusha, the cultural capital of Azerbaijan. After many years, the return of children to their native city and back to schools was not merely an educational event. It became one of the most emotional symbols of life, hope, and the future returning to Karabakh through the voices of children. Because the true resilience of cities is measured first and foremost by the safety, well-being, and future of their smallest resilient children. No city can be considered fully resilient where people don't feel safe and where children can't look toward tomorrow with confidence. For this very reason, the role of civil society carries special importance. I am confident that all discussions held by civil society representatives at WUF13 session will focus on the safe, dignified, and sustainable living spaces that we aspire to live together. We invite all of you to join efforts based on solidarity, mutual trust, shared responsibility, and common commitment to the future of humanity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Alieva. Our next speaker brings years of invaluable institutional expertise in shaping intergovernmental relations and urban policy. Please welcome the former Secretary of the Board of UN Habitat and Head of the Intergovernmental Relations Department, Mr. Christian Mensah.
I was glad to come after Ms. Alieva because I knew the mic would be in the right place for me to speak. Then Mr. Karimi comes and readjusts. Congratulations on your election. Thank you very much. And I think you all agree with me that the volunteers we have encountered at this forum is just one of the best I have ever seen. So please, let's give them a big hand. And to the organizers of the volunteers, you've done a fantastic job. So thank you very much. I am not going to bore you with what has already been said eloquently by my predecessor, but there's something interesting I want to tell you. The two women who were sitting there, the former executive director and the current executive director, were my former bosses. And so, if I do anything wrong here today, you blame it on them. Because they were the one who trained me. And I enjoyed working fondly with them. It's unfortunate they had other commitment, they had to leave earlier. Look, the hosting of WUF13 in Baku underscores Azerbaijan's growing role as a convening hub for inclusive global dialogue. As you know, peace and development springs from sustainable human development, which Ms. Alieva alluded to earlier. Azerbaijan's leadership in advancing multilateralism, including through the chairmanship of the Non-Aligned Movement and its COP29 presidency, has laid a solid foundation for initiatives such as this Global South NGO platform. It is timely to have a platform that brings together representatives from across the globe, especially from the South, within the framework of WUF13. It responds to the growing need for a more coordinated and representative voice of civil society in the world's fastest urbanizing regions. It is important for civil society to fulfill its role in shaping global urban and development agendas. For the first time in the history of the World Urban Forum, NGOs from the Global South are coming together to establish a joint presence with a dedicated, I think it's 78 square meter pavilion given to them, enabling active engagement and visibility. WUF13 offers a valuable opportunity to bridge grassroots perspectives with global policy making. By doing so, we are strengthening the role of NGOs in inclusive urban development. But as we do that, let's not just think of the society. We must also continue to focus on underrepresented regions, including small island developing states, landlocked countries, and least developed countries, represented countries, religious communities, faith-based communities, and all who need help in getting it. And for that reason, I really wish to thank the organizers for bringing in all groups of people with disabilities. The panel alone is made up of women and men together. So, Azerbaijan, congratulations to you for a job well done. All right? And so that is what I really want to focus on. But let me delve into, when we use the word civil society, NGOs, and we tend to group all of them, and when we talk of Global North and Global South. But let's be very clear, Global North, Global South, these are terms denoting a method of grouping countries based on their defining characteristics with regard to socio-economics. The terms refer to developed and developing, and then least developing countries respectively. But you will agree with me, where would Azerbaijan fall? And where would other countries fall? You've come quite far. This is why, when I listen to the special advisor of the president, using the word cooperation is key. If we do not cooperate, the old adage of alliances is gone. Let us now begin to look at cooperation. That is why I think that this is quite significant. And when we talk of civil society, we're talking of stakeholders. When we talk of NGOs, we're talking of stakeholders. They sometimes the use of some of these words are limited. But if we say stakeholder, it means you have a stake in it. We can't go and be talking and negotiating and then you are not there. And we just say civil society, NGO. No, we cannot do that. So, generally, this must be local, regional governments and the associations. Non-governmental organizations, academia, private sector, and philanthropic organizations, and all not-for-profit organizations, including professional women, youth, indigenous people, people with disabilities, grassroots, academic associations, and under non-governmental organizations. This is key, which we must keep in mind as we do this definition. The understanding of what civil society organizations are vary according to historical and social political context. Civil societies have been described as entities associated with the formation of particular type of society that seeks the greater and pursue common goals. Additionally, civil society organizations are also considered as non-governmental and non-for-profit organizations by citizens with the aim of pursuing shared values. Memuna said something very important. Civil society, and I think Ms. Ahverdoff also said that civil societies are the drivers of development in various contexts. But in this context, we pay special attention to those in the global south. More specifically, you who are here. You took the time to be here today. Why? You took the time to be here. Some of you traveled very far to come here. And why are you here? And more specifically, you have been playing such a crucial role in development and implementation and monitoring of nationally determined contributions that after the Paris Agreement, what happened? They decided to create climate high-level champions. Why? Because they realized when they're negotiating in the room and you don't understand, after they finish, who is to implement? You have to implement. But if you don't understand what they are talking about, how are you going to implement? Now, most of those languages that come out of the negotiation, they are negotiated languages. They don't always reflect what they meant. But so that the COP can pass, we agree to it. So I'm happy to say that Turkey is following the footsteps of Azerbaijan in organizing the COP31 this year, and also happy to say that we are quite happy to have a tremendous help from Azerbaijan in the creation of Turkey. Now, most of you are wondering, why is he talking about Turkey? Now, I work for the president of the climate high-level champion for COP31, and also the president of the Zero Waste Foundation. Hence the reason. And I see among you my good friend, the parliamentarian Niga, sitting over there, who is really great in helping us. And I thought I saw Sultan. He escaped already somewhere. Okay. So now, inclusive and sustainable urban models rely on strong governance, which was said earlier. So I'm just going to conclude by giving you a few successful models of inclusion. Integrated urban integration. Here I can use the Medellin and Colombia examples. These are integrated. The key features here include upgrading informal settlements rather than removing them. You don't remove them, you upgrade them. That's what you do. Transport integration. Somebody said, I think was it yesterday, that housing is just not about the four corners or the walls. If there's no transportation, connecting isolated, low-income, hillside neighborhoods to city center, cable cars, or by means, how are you going to collect your taxes? They're not going to work. Yeah, because it'll be dependent on you supporting them. But if you think of it in the sense that it's the society you're creating, you collect taxes from them also. So you're not doing anybody a favor by creating public transport. New York City is not doing anyone a favor because public transport is cheap. No, they make money out of it. Each time you take that public transport, you go to work, there's taxation that they're gaining from it. So you're not doing anybody a favor. Then transit-oriented development. Here we have a lot, the key features: mixed-use zoning, residential, commercial, and leisure in one area. Walking distance to destination. And I've seen, Baku has quite a few nice places that, you can walk around, it's a family thing, and, here really is something we can all copy. Then the most important thing, ensuring affordable housing is integrated into these transit hubs, preventing gentrification from displacing low-income workers. Let us not just say, we take an area in Manhattan and say, let's increase the prices and kick the poor people out. That tomato salad is making you not drive and not pollute. You just go in the corner and you buy your tomatoes, it's cheaper, and you come away with it. And that is something we need to be thinking about. Participatory budgeting and planning. Memuna talked about inclusion. Well, here I use the example of Porto Alegre and Brazil. Regular community meetings, transparent decision making is key. Improved accountability and infrastructure in previously underserved areas. Then compact city and green spaces. Prioritizing, like I said, walking, cycling, public transport. Setting strict targets for carbon neutrality, increasing green spaces, and for climate resilience. Then, pro-poor slum upgrading. And here, Thailand Mangkong program is the key in doing that. The key features are simple. Providing secure land tenure. If you don't have land tenure, why are you going to invest in that? Improving basic services, water, sanitation. Who doesn't need them? You don't just need them in the rich areas. We all need good water and good sanitation. So, and strengthening community organizations, which is what you are doing, and I applaud you for that. This group is the group replacing the Bandung Conference. For those of you who are young enough to remember the Bandung Conference, 1955, this is what you are doing, you're beginning to do now. So I would encourage you to do it. Then finally, mobilizing community and organizations, and here I use informal models such as the cooperative and models, are seen in Dar es Salaam, Isumu, and other places, involving informal sectors and local organizations yields high diversion rates and social benefits. Cities should recognize and integrate waste pickers and communities into what they do. In conclusion, for me, it is extremely clear that civil society organizations have become very instrumental, to a large extent, indispensable in shaping urban development trends across the global south. Even though the concept appears to be historically rooted in both Western philosophical traditions and long-standing indigenous forms and collective organizations, civil societies have managed to navigate these two models of the concept and emerge as hybrid institutions navigating complex expectations from donors, government, and the community they serve. Their contributions span especially in urban housing, including advocacy and all. These models highlight urban development in not just technology or infrastructure, but also enhancing quality of life in everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mensah. Finally, to close our opening remarks, I'm incredibly proud to introduce a key leader from our newly consolidated platform, a seasoned diplomat, former Foreign Minister of Ecuador, and President of the UNRWA Advisory Board. Please welcome our Deputy Secretary General of the Global South NGO Platform, the Latin American Region, Ambassador Luis Gallegos.
I have the same problem as the last speaker with the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we confront the world in a geopolitical situation characterized by uncertainty and a world order based on the use of power or the threat of the use of power, rather than an international order based on law and the mechanisms of negotiation and conflict resolution. This scenario makes it even more important to promote the strengthening of global partnerships that will permit the resolution of the great challenges we are confronting. When we refer to the global partnership, we include nation states, private sectors, non-governmental organizations, international organizations, civil societies, local communities, academia, and all the relevant stakeholders. The confluence that many will undoubtedly introduce a level of complexity that requires a conversion of political wills to surpass the prevalence of interest that can derail the common good. When we look for decision-making to solve the problems of the international community that span borders and becomes a problem of neighboring states, entire regions, or of the global characteristics. In order to confront these challenges and overcome the problems they present to our global and national societies, we have to undertake the appropriate negotiations that can reach agreements, even if they are of a great complexity. We are in a world characterized by differences of culture, values, religions, political systems, educational systems, and each one of these nation states have and make it a challenge to agree on common positions. We also need to have clarity of facts, the understanding of problems that we are facing, so as to reach agreement, and the basis, especially of South-South cooperation. It is difficult to make decisions when solutions require a multi-system approach and the need of a political will that is people-centered. When you have participated in multiple multilateral negotiations, you understand the complex process to reach agreements. The parties must leave behind their own agendas their interests and overcome these barriers to reach the objectives of common good. The United Nations is the forum in which we have the opportunity to overcome our differences for the good of the world. In this particular circumstances, all of us who attended Habitat 3 in Quito, Ecuador, remember that we agreed to have a roadmap for the organization of the world in which we put before everything the dignity and respect of human rights and people. Today marks a historical milestone, as this is the first ever NGO forum in the history within the Urban Forum that is being held here in Azerbaijan. This important initiative has also brought together the Global South NGO platform and representatives of organizations of the third states and other countries from around the world under the shared spirit of solidarity, cooperation, and dialogue. We are proud that Azerbaijan is hosting and contributing to such a meaningful moment for the global civil society. We must have cities that respond to the needs of our people. We need cities that are fit for the lives of women, men, and children, but that take special consideration for persons aging and with disabilities that represent more than 3 billion people. Decision-making is a difficult task in multilateralism, and the UN is undeniably the best forum we have for the resolution of the world's problems, and the NGOs must be part of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thank you to all of our distinguished speakers for those inspiring and grounding opening remarks. You have set a phenomenal base for why we are here. We will now transition directly into the core of our forum, our highly anticipated panel discussion. The title of this session is Sustainable and Inclusive Urban Planning, Global Partnerships and the Influence of NGOs in Decision Making. To guide this critical conversation, it is my honor to welcome a member of the Milli Majlis of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Ahverdoff. I will now call on the panelists to the board, Mr. Eldar Malik-Abbas, the representative of the Turkana Bio-Alloy Organization, Ms. Leila Al-Hattami, Chairwoman of Women Future Cities, Global Futures and Smart Cities Strategies, Melvin Wajiri Lingwe, Head of the Pan-African Empowerment Platform, Sarina Abdullaeva, Regional Coordinator for Europe and Central Asia, United Nations Volunteers Program,